Hi, my name is Dion Newman, Executive Director of the Forestry Safety Association of Newfoundland and Labrador. We are a not-for-profit organization that helps the forestry companies of our province with anything related to safety that they might require, whether that be standard operating procedures for a harvesting machine, emergency response plans, or safety training in chainsaw safety, brush saw, first aid, power lines, and the list goes on. Our goal is to make sure that everybody gets home safe at the end of their shift. The topic I'd like to speak to you about today, of course, would be traveling out into our forest environment. A lot of us do enjoy going hunting, berry picking, fishing, hiking, even just going for a ride on our all-terrain vehicles. Again, it's a part of our culture and our way of life. It's very important to make sure that we have everything put in place before we leave our home or our place of work to go on one of these excursions. One of the first things we need to make sure we have put in place is a trip plan. Make sure people know where we are going, how long we're going to be gone, who we're going with, and of course a plan B. Because sometimes we might go in one area and not be able to get through that because of could be washouts or damaged under trailways and things like that, and we might go in a different area. So we always want to make sure that we make people aware of where we are going to be, and if we're not there, then plan B, this is where I will be. Again, like I said, it's very important that we let people know when we're going to be back. You don't have to wait 24 hours to notify law enforcement that someone is overdue. If somebody is 5 minutes overdue, we can call the RCMP or the RNC in our local area, and they will contact the local search and rescue, and they will put things in place to go look for these people who are not home. Again, like I said, it's very important that, again, we do make this call as soon as these people or this person is overdue. It's always important as well to make sure that we're properly trained to do whatever activity it is we plan on doing for that day. Again, if we're going in to cut wood, if we're going to use our ATV, snowmobile, we're going to go out in a boat, again, it's good to make sure that we know how to properly use different pieces of machinery and equipment and tools that we might require. Again, like I said, we want to make sure that everybody gets home safe at the end of the day. Taking the essentials is what is critically important as well. Again, if someone gets injured or lost and they have to spend a night in the woods, having a few simple things with us will make an uncomfortable night into an actual comfortable night. So a communication device. So taking a phone with us, again, in some areas we might not have cell service, but again, by having that phone, if we do get service, we can call for help if required. If you don't have cell service, what you can do is actually change the voicemail on your answering machine. When somebody calls you and there's no service, that call will automatically go to your voicemail. So you want to leave a message on your voicemail saying where you're to, what is wrong, the time that you're making this change to your message, so people will know that you're in trouble and send help as soon as possible. Navigation devices are very, very important. Again, having maps, compasses, having different electronic devices such as GPS. We can get different systems such as the NReach system that has communication built in plus navigation. Again, like I said, some of these systems can be a little bit pricey, but again, how much are you willing to pay, of course, to save someone's life? Again, is not very much. Spot units are another thing as well, that a person, when they get in trouble, can actually send out a message to let somebody know that they're in trouble. Having signaling devices, such as a Fox 40 whistle. Again, if you're trying to call for help, it's not going to take too long before you get a hoarse voice. Your voice is not going to travel as far, but you can use a Fox 40 whistle for forever and a day. And again, the unit works very well and is very loud, and it carries for a long way. Also having a reflector with you, whether it's a mirror on your compass, or if you just take some sort of a device where you can use as a signal. When you use one of these devices, it's very important that if you're trying to signal a ship or a person or a plane or a helicopter that may be looking for you, you want to make sure that you get the object between your fingers. And then when you use the signaling device, that you get the reflection going on the back of your fingers. Once you get the signal flashing on the back of your fingers and the person or object is between your fingers, they're at the proper angle now that they can see you trying to signal their attention. Again, we've seen many times where people have just taken a mirror or something reflective and just hold it up and try to do this, and rescuers haven't seen them because they're not at the proper angle. Make sure you have extra water with you. Again, you can also have water purification tablets. We can also carry things such as a life straw that can, of course, purify water. At the same time, we can also make sure that we can boil water for at least 1 minute to kill any germs and bacteria that could be in it. Extra food, things such as, granola bars, almonds, peanuts, things like that. Again, high energy, very, very small to take with us. And again, it's not going to take much room in our pack sacks. Also, we can take different assorted, dry foods and things like that. Again, like I said, it's small, but again, it can help you get through a night. Extra clothes is always important to make sure that we dress in layers. We want to put a moisture wicking layer closest to our skin. Again, that keeps moisture and perspiration off our skin. Again, and that also helps us to stay warm. If we are building a shelter or getting firewood and things like that, again, it's always advisable to unzip our jackets, maybe even take it off, because we don't want to start overheating in our clothes. And again, once we start to sweat and we make our clothes damp, then of course we can get very, very cold very quickly. Again, it's better to have more than you need than to need more things than you have. Also, make sure you have something for a fire. Again, we can use a lighter. We can take things with us such as fire starters. You can use matches. Again, you want to make sure all these things are in a waterproof bag. I usually use a Ziploc bag and keep all these things in, so that way when I need to start a fire, of course my lighter works, my matches works. And you can also buy different things such as a magnesium block with a flint. And again, the list goes on for the things that is out there. And again, they're very small and very, very portable. When it comes to lighting a fire, the same thing. A lot of times what I'll do is I will take some cotton balls, I'll put them in a Ziploc bag, and I'll use hand sanitizer, gas line antifreeze, different things that these things are very flammable. So I'll soak the cotton balls in that, leave them in the Ziploc bag, and then when I need to light the fire, 1 or 2 cotton balls is all that's required to get the fire going. Again, like I said, you can actually even buy commercially made fire starters. Again, very practical, very small, lightweight, and again, it's good to have with you. One thing that I did learn in forestry school when I did my forest resources technician course was one of our instructors always said, when you leave the vehicle, if you see a birch tree, always make sure that you take some bark off the tree and put it in your pack sack, because when it comes time to light a fire, to have a lunch, to boil some water, to get a drink, you can be guaranteed you will not find any birch next to you. And I can attest to that. That happens all the time. Insect repellent in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Insect repellent is critically important during the summertime. If you spend any time out in the woods, you will know that for a fact. Sunscreen is also good as well. Again, like I said, we can be exposed to the sun, depending upon where we're to and what we have for a shelter. So again, having some sunscreen and also some chapstick for our lips, because again, like I said, our lips will also get chapped when we're out in extreme conditions. Having an emergency blanket with us as well. One of these little silver or foil blankets. Again, they fold up very, very small. You can take multiple ones of these in a pack sack and again, open them up, wrap them around you for warmth. Again, you can also use it for signaling, and at the same time, you can even use it to go over a shelter that you're building to keep water out. Again, fantastic piece of equipment to have with you. It's always good to have an axe or a folding saw, something that we can cut wood. Again, we can also even carry a machete, something that can chop some smaller wood, again, because we want to make sure that we can get a fire going if it's necessary. It's always good to have a pocket knife or a multi-tool. Again, like I said, these things also come in handy. First aid kits, and when it comes to a first aid kit, we don't need to bring, a huge kit that's going to fill up half of our pack sack, because a lot of the things that we have with us can be used in a first aid situation. An extra piece of clothing can be cut up to be used as dressings on a wound. It can be cut in strips to tie a splint on a broken limb. It can also be used, to make a sling for a broken arm. So again, when it comes to first aid, we want to make sure we think outside the box. Again, it's very, very simple. Bringing a coil of rope with us. We can buy, coils of rope for 50 feet, 100 feet, at the local stores around, and they're not very expensive. And again, when they're coiled up, they're nice and small. So again, we can use these things to build shelters if required. Tarps are very good. I usually always carry a tarp with me. Again, 8 by 12 tarp folds up nice and small. And again, just the tarp alone can provide me with shelter out of the rain or the snow for a night. If you're on any type of medication, make sure you have some medication with you. And again, I know that when we go out, we don't anticipate being lost or, broken down in the woods back in the country overnight, but these things do happen. And we do hear about instances where berry pickers are overdue, are gone for the night. Same thing with hunters in the fall. And again, these people didn't intend on that happening when they went out. So again, having these few simple things with us is going to make things a lot easier and more comfortable for us. Flagging tape is something that's available at the outdoor stores, and you can find them in the dollar stores around the province. Again, when you're going down a trail or in an area where you're not familiar with, take some flagging tape and tie it onto a tree. Again, mark the route that you're going so you can find your way back. Pencil and paper is one thing that's great to have, especially if you're by yourself, because that is one thing that you can take the pencil and piece of paper, you can write notes, you can draw pictures, you can, make a grocery list for that matter. When it comes to using a pencil and piece of paper, it actually goes to help with a person's mental status when they're in one of these emergency situations. Because the most important thing we need to do is not panic. And I know it's easy for us to say that here and now, but again, when we start to panic, we start to do things that logically we wouldn't do in normal circumstances. So by getting our thoughts under control, getting ourselves calmed down, and staying where we are until help arrives is critically important. If we start moving all over the place, going in different areas, when searchers come through and they go through an area and they don't find you, they're going to continue in other areas, and if you wander back to that same spot they've already checked, it's going to take them an awful long time before they end up coming back there because they've already checked it. So again, once you do realize that you are lost, stay where you're find a space where you can get some shelter, whether you have to make something yourself, or you can find a bunch of trees or whatever that you can get under, or a little crevice in a rock where you can tuck away out of the elements. Again, and stay there. When it comes to staying put, like I said, it's critically important that we don't travel too far from that area. Again, once we got our shelter established, then we need to make sure that we have water, and then the next thing is food. We can go 3 hours without adequate shelter, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. So again, when we do get lost or get broke down, the first thing we need to do is make our shelter, get some water, and then, of course, we'll look after our food. So by having these few things in our pack sacks, letting people know where we're going, when we'll be back, and of course, having some training and knowledge on the activities that we're going to do, it'll make it for a safer and an easier trip for us out in the country. And again, if things go wrong, we'll be prepared then that we can stay overnight until searchers can find us. And again, if someone is overdue, don't wait till the next day. Call local law enforcement. they will get the local ground search and rescue teams mobilized, and we can get our loved ones home. So again, having these few things is critically important. I know myself firsthand. I've been broken down out in a boat out in the North Atlantic, and only for the GPS that my friend had in his packsack is how we got home that night, and that's how the Coast Guard found us, because the weather was so bad. So again, just by having these simple things can turn a rough night into a much more pleasant night. So I'd also like to thank you for your donation to the Alzheimer Society. The work they do, the research, the programming is so critically important. And again, your support is so greatly appreciated. We ask you to continue to support the Alzheimer Society in the rest of their campaigns. And of course, please, when you go out, have a safe and enjoyable trip. Thank you.